The theme of Mark's Gospel is presented in today's Gospel as it was last week. That the Son of Man will be mistreated. They will kill him, and he'll rise on the third day. That's the theme of Mark's Gospel, yet his disciples do not understand it. They don't want that type of Messiah. They want a Messiah who's going to be triumphal and give them good positions in the kingdom, the earthly kingdom. And last week, that theme was presented against the light of injustice, of hatred and evil. And the way that theme said last week that we should respond, we respond to injustice with justice. Not injustice. We respond to evil, not with evil, but with goodness. And we respond to hatred, not with hatred, but with love. The second time now in his gospel, he talks about the Son of Man is to be killed, mistreated, and so forth. They still don't get it. They still don't understand. And the gospel can be explained in light of the second reading about jealousy and ambition, selfish ambition. That if you truly believe in the suffering Messiah, you're not going to lower yourself to be jealous and selfishly ambitious. Gord Vidal defined in a way, in a very graphic and concrete way, what jealousy is about. He said, when a friend of mine succeeds, part of me dies. What a terrible statement. Shouldn't it be when a friend of mine has success that I should rejoice with him or her about their success? But no, the jealous person feels as if something has been taken away from him or her when someone else gains something. Now, if we are content with the gifts that God gives us, we may not have the gifts of other people, but to realize the gifts that we do have are so wonderful and the gifts of God, and we should use those gifts and not be concerned about the gifts that other people have. The person that succumbs to jealousy and selfish ambition really is expressing their lower self rather than their higher self. And enlightened by the Paschal mystery of dying, suffering, and rising, in light of that, we should realize that it's our lower self that should die, so that the higher self emerges. The higher self that rejoices in the goodness that other people have and not be envious of them. To rejoice in the gifts that we have, even though they may be different than somebody else. That's what it's all about. The letter of James is very clear in a way where jealousy and selfish ambition exist. There's disorder in every foul play. It causes so many difficulties in life. Extended beyond ourselves, when nations are that way, then we have wars. Well, World War I was one of ambition. It was one of jealousy of one country concerned about another. What did it lead to? Well, perhaps World War II and what came after that. Our Lord goes on in the gospel after explaining to them for the second time, his disciples, what the Paschal mystery is about, and they don't quite get it. He says, what were you discussing along the way? And their response is, who is going to be the greatest? Which one of them is going to be the greatest? And our Lord responds, the first will be last, and the servant of all. Yes, when we are last in a way, and the servant of all, we are imitating the crucified Christ, but not just the crucified Christ, the risen Christ, where our true self rises above our false self, and we have so much love and goodness in life. Now, he also tells them to receive a child, and how important that is. Now, one thing about children is that they don't have much of a past, so they don't have much of an opportunity about jealousy, little children. Well, they have some. They don't think about the future, so they're not so much concerned about ambition or false ambition. What they're concerned about, children, is living in the present, in the here and the now. And if we can be like children and live in the here and the now, and forget about the past, forget about the future, to realize what we have here and now and to rejoice in that, that is another way of overcoming jealousy and also selfish ambition. But there's another interpretation about receiving a child. In Jesus' day, the children did not have any rights, or they had very few. Their parents treated them like property in a way. But Jesus tells his disciples, if you receive a child in all their goodness and treat them well, you are treating me well. Because I am with those people who do not have the rights, not only children but others. And if you receive them well, you not only receive me, but you receive my Father in heaven. Yes, this idea of the suffering servant is hard for us to embrace, because we would prefer the kind of a glorious, triumphal Messiah who's going to throw the Roman Empire out of Israel, establish a kingdom, and the 12 will have prominent roles in that kingdom, and their ambitions will be fulfilled. Now, the amazing thing is that we have a distorted view of ambition. We think that we get something that we long for, we'll be better off. But so often it's not the case. Christ, in a way, was a failure. He didn't convert the Romans. He didn't convert the Pharisees and the scribes. Even his own disciples ran away from him. Yet he rose from the dead. And rising from the dead, there's a movement that began that would eventually outlast the Roman Empire and all the Pharisees and the scribes. So let us, as we look upon failure in our own life, we should learn how we should address failure. It's not the worst thing for us to happen to us, failure. It's a way in which we learn, that we learn about the good things that we have. We learn about relying upon God. We realizing that being good to the people that we love deeply, that's more important sometimes than what we lost in failure. Failure is an opportunity for us to truly grow so that we can set aside the false self that's concerned about things in the long run that really don't count, and be more concerned about those things of the higher self, the true self, that will truly bring us happiness in this life.